Okay, Assalamualaikum. Hello guys. So for this week we're going to dig into CSS. Okay, so CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and the application of this CSS can save a lot of works. Okay, so you can control the layout of multiple pages at once. Okay, so previously we learned that HTML is to manage your content online. Okay, so every content that you type in to render into your browser, we're going to use as HTML. Okay, so now to make it fancier, to change the font size, the font color, and so on in most effective and consistent way, we're going to use CSS. Okay, so what is CSS? So with CSS you can control the font, the color, the size of the text, spacing between HTML elements, and how those elements are positioned and laid off. So you see how you can see the average website, and every website that you've seen on your browser on daily surfing on the internet, you can see the layout of the website is different and differ in each other, and they manage to create columns, spacing, and cards. Okay, so it also managed what background images and background colors are to be used. Okay, so and it also can we can use CSS also to change and to adapt on different displays for different devices and screen size and much more using CSS. Okay, so for different screen size you can see about 82% of web viewer nowadays, okay, at least 90% based on statistics, recent statistics. Okay, so most of users browsing website using their mobile device, because of there are a lot of variant of mobile device, different in brand, and also obviously difference in terms of their sizing, and it will affect how your website content displayed on each mobile device. Okay, so now using CSS, so CSS document, CSS file divided in three ways or three types of categories, which is we can say inline, okay, internal, and external. There are three ways that we can use CSS in our HTML document. Okay, so inline is by using style, okay, style attribute inside any HTML elements. Okay, while internal, okay, is using so in internal and external we're going to use internal using markup. Okay, we use bracket markup language. Okay, style, okay, element in the head section. Okay, remember previous class we encountered basic document, HTML document. We have two section, two major section, the head and the body section. All right, so in external, okay, the most widely used, that governs all the website, that can govern all the website pages, web pages, okay, is by using link, okay, link element to link to an external CSS file. Okay, these are the three categories and three ways that we're going to can use CSS to our HTML document. Okay, now before we begin, okay, so I'm going to create a new project folder. All right, new project folder. Okay, this here in our class folder, and we create new folder. I will name it as CSS-tutorial. Okay, now every file that we're going to create, okay, we're going to make it live inside this area, this folder. Okay, so we're going to create new file. Okay, file, save it first. We're going to save it in this folder. Okay, our class, this folder, save it here and save it as index.html. Save. Okay, now we have index.html. Looking at our folder, we have index.html in our current folder. Okay, so create an HTML basic document. All right, name it. I'm going to put title as CSS tutorial inline CSS. This is the first category of CSS. So for the content, I will make it heading for title in the body. This is web page title and this is the content. Okay, CSS tutorial inline CSS. So close the headings and paragraph. So I will search for any content on the net. Alright, search for any suitable content. Okay, I'm going to copy this paragraph. Alright, copy and paste it as our content /p for close the paragraph elements. Okay, now we have one basic web page. Okay, execute and rendered. So we have one headings and one paragraph, and we have title here, inline CSS. Now we're going to insert one inline CSS. Okay, so inline using style attribute inside HTML elements. Okay, using style. So before we jump into how to use style, okay, I will introduce you to three anatomy, the anatomy of CSS. Okay, so there are three things that you should care about. Okay, you should understand this concept. Okay, CSS apply by three things. Okay, three items. Alright. Okay, so it should have selector and the property for that selector and the value that brings what value for this property of the selector. Okay, so imagine you select headings. So what are the property for headings? Maybe you can choose color, maybe you can choose font size, font type, font family, font weight, and everything that you can relevant to your design, and the value for your chosen property for the selector. For example, you're taking H1 as selector, you select H1, and the property for the headings maybe color. Okay, sorry, color for the property of H1, and the value for this color maybe blue. Okay, so here is the anatomy of basic CSS. Alright, so by using this anatomy, okay, you put the concept into inline CSS. Okay, now jump into our first web page. Okay, we're going to H1 selector. We select this element. Okay, H1. So H1 style, okay, equal to color. Which color we're going to use? Maybe green. Okay, semicolon. Okay, semicolon is the what we call it as the cutoff of the property. You can have next property, okay, after semicolon. Alright, I will show you later. Now the basic is inline CSS is here. So selector using style for inline CSS, property, and the value for the property of heading 1. Okay, save it, Ctrl S, refresh, and we have these green colored headings by using inline CSS. Okay, so now next type of CSS is internal. Okay, so I'm going to use a new HTML document. Okay, file, save as. Okay, in the same folder. Okay, I'll name it as internal css.html, still HTML document. All right, save. So this is our internal css.html. Bring up basic HTML and css tutorial dash internal css. Okay, so I'm going to copy this title. Okay, make it my headings. Heading 1. Let's close heading 1 and copy this paragraph file for sampling. Okay, now for internal, we are going to use style as an element in the head section. Okay, in the head section. Alright, so internal CSS, find our head section here. Alright, between here, below title. Okay, style. Okay, remember every element should be closed. Alright, so internal CSS. Okay, so previously inline, we're going to use style. Okay, adding up to this element. So now internal, we're going to use directly we select the element. Okay, for example, we're going to select this element. Okay, so select the element heading 1. Alright, so now internal and external, we're going to use these types of CSS write-up. Okay, curly brackets. Okay, curly brackets, color, double quote. No, it's not double quote. It's called what is it called? Colon, and property colon, and we using blue as a value for the property, and semicolon here. Save. Okay, executing internal CSS. See, we have blue. Okay, we have blue headings. Now we have complete inline and internal CSS. Okay, using this example. Now we're going to look into external CSS. Okay, external CSS requires us to create a new additional file instead of HTML file. Okay, so first we're going to create a new file. Okay, complete the tutorial. We have inline as index, internal CSS. Why inline? Why I not renaming index as inline CSS? Because this is our main page. Okay, the first page. The rules is the first page that you consider it as home page or landing page, rename it as index.html. Rename it as index as your hosting or server can find your first home page. Alright, so other than that, you can rename it as you see. Alright, so rename it as external-css.html. Okay, still HTML document. Alright, create another one. So I'm going to use this title, just change the title for external. Alright, so for external, yeah, this one also, I'm going to copy this one. Alright, so we have complete basic HTML page. Alright, save it and try to run. Okay, we have this external CSS. Now we're going to create another file. Okay, the fourth file, which is CSS file. Okay, back into our folder, project folder or root folder. So now it is recommended to create a new file, a new folder for our CSS file. That, okay, new folder for CSS file. Okay, in this folder we're going to include our CSS file here. Okay, not along this. The folder will be along with our root folder, root files mostly, CSS. Alright, so create new file and save it as dalam folder inside this folder CSS. Rename it as style.css. Okay, here we have this file, new file type CSS. Okay, not HTML but .css. All right, save it. Okay, look into our folder. We have 3 HTML file, 1 folder CSS, and inside folder CSS folder we have CSS file here. Okay, name it as style.css. Okay, now back to our HTML file. Okay, so there are nothing inside our CSS file. Back to our external css.html. Now for external, we're going to use it by using link element to link to an external CSS file. Okay, now we're using link on each link element to an external CSS file. Okay, add up in the head section here. Okay, we're going to put it inside here. Okay, now link. Okay, link relation equals to style sheet. Okay, and then hyperlink reference, okay, refers to which files that we're going to link in this document. Okay, now we look into our project folder css file style.css. Okay, now folder name slash file name. Okay, and remember, close the markup. Now our folder, our web page here extension have been linked to this file. Okay, here this file, but this file is empty. Okay, there are nothing instruction here to tell the external CSS what kind of design that this file going to use. So external CSS refresh, there are nothing. Okay, now in CSS style CSS, we're going to select one element. Okay, say background color. Okay, this is one of the element. Make it, maybe put it pink. Okay, save. Now we have pink background. Okay, we have pink background. Okay, so this one internal CSS is, there are no link to our CSS file, so refresh, so it doesn't have any background colored pages. So if you're going to use the same file, okay, same background color for each of the pages, you just copy this script and paste it inside. Okay, paste it inside our pages. Okay, save it, save it. So inline CSS, this is our index file. Refresh pink. This one refresh pink. Now you can see that our single page, our single CSS file governed to cover all web pages that have linked to our one single CSS file. Alright, close script. What's that mean? Okay, now this one is to make your development method easier, because you're going to use this one file to cover all the design of your pages. Imagine you have hundreds of pages of HTML pages. Okay, you want to change only a bit of the design. For example, changing the body color. Okay, so you want to make it the same color to every pages. Okay, if you're not using external CSS, you're going to change it one by one, so it's not not an effective way to perform this kind of development. Okay, so by using style CSS, you're going to edit or update one file, save, and every file that connected to this CSS will follow the design. See? Okay. Even you can change the headings and paragraph. Okay, for example, change paragraph, new element, okay, curly brackets, and font style, okay, text align, make it right, you can see right, okay, semicolon there, save. So every paragraph, will follow our CSS file, which is every paragraph text align right. Okay, now even though we know that external governs all the pages that connected to this file, but there are certain power that belongs to each CSS type. Okay, so even though external have more power to govern all the pages that connected to this file, but inline CSS is more superior than internal, and of course both is more superior than external. Okay, so the function of why inline is superior than internal, and both of these superior than external, it can override the rules of internal, and internal can override the rules of external. Because of, imagine you have hundreds of pages of websites, web pages, so one of them need to be different, to be in different background color. For example, every website color is khaki, but one of them need to be orange, right? So you're going to specific inline, okay, using inline, okay, style. All right, so background color orange, see. Okay, this is inline. Even though we have the link external CSS here in this side, but using internal style, it will override style from external CSS. Okay, for example, we have create body background color orange here by using inline style. In index.html, refresh, see, it will turn to orange. Okay, internal will override external CSS. Okay, and it also apply to internal CSS. Okay, so we have external here. Okay, we have heading color blue. All right, so for example, we just hide this value for a moment. Okay, temporary hide. So we have headings. Okay, headings. So we're going to create rules for these headings. For each headings font, for example, color, we have dark blue. Okay, available, dark blue is available. So every heading is using dark blue color scheme. Okay, this one, of course, we have inline CSS. This one, see, changing from blue to dark blue because of internal. We refer to global CSS ataupun external CSS. But when we have internal CSS here for heading 1, okay, again, change the color, significant color, pink maybe, save, and we have this one. Internal will override external here, even though you have style telling every heading 1 is colored dark blue. Okay, now I think you should understand the application of internal, external, and inline, and how they can be used to your website design and development. Alright, this is basic in using CSS. Alright, now for semicolon, just now I've mentioned the use of semicolon to separate property of your selector. Okay, for example, we have text align for this paragraph is right. So next property, next to semicolon. Alright, so without this semicolon, CSS cannot determine the ending of your value and property. So semicolon is used to cut off your property and value. Alright, so next, value and property. For paragraph, maybe you can say color. So color is too many times using color. Okay, font family. Okay, font size, maybe font family. Okay, font family Verdana. Okay, save. So every file that connected to internal CSS, external CSS will be using font Verdana. Alright, see. Okay, now, so what happened when we have external CSS here colored for heading is colored dark blue, but this one colored pink. Okay, so we're going to add up font size. Alright, increase a bit, maybe 18 point. Okay, so now for heading 1 in global external CSS scheme, color is dark blue plus font size is 18 point. Okay, now, so when internal and inline CSS have their own style, okay, internal CSS have their own style, color, and inline also have color, but they doesn't include font size. So the question is, if is the internal, inline, and internal will follow rules of this font size from external CSS? The answer is yes. Okay, the answer is yes. Refresh. See? Okay, now in CSS the rules apply to specific property. Okay, so even though this inline and internal have their own style but limited to color property. Okay, so other than that, so we have font style, font family, font kerning, and other types of property will inherit external CSS for additional property for this element selector. Okay, so I hope the lessons now is quite clear for how to use CSS in your HTML development. Okay, so the files for reference I have included in the reference below. Okay, the link to the GitHub repository for you to download and refer for the to test and to create exercise. All right, so any question or any comment, you can comment below or just text me. All right, thank you and Assalamualaikum.